G'day everyone, welcome back. This is Luke, and I'm here with Big Game Small Pieces to talk to you about more Dungeon Master experience and advice. In this particular one, obviously, we're doing Candlekeep Dekonstruction. This is a 9th level adventure from Candlekeep Mysteries, and it's another one of the good ones. It's a time-based mission where the actual gameplay could take 2 to 4 hours, pending if if the group find the secret passage. But we'll talk about that. Now, in regards to it being a time-based adventure, Buren Sternmantle, a dwarf, comes out and dies in front of the group. Let them investigate a little bit, check his corpse, do all that sort of stuff, read the book, go all through those sort of things. And then when they start losing a bit of steam as to where to go next, that is when you hit them with the earthquake. Give them enough time to pull enough out of that to get everything you can. Once the earthquake happens, the group are going to have to then get reformed, round up, and brought out to the court there. And then Bookworm, by the time he gets and finds them in game, that's probably about. I've been in fire drills and things like that from people who haven't planned anything, and this is now a medieval period, and that's where they probably don't even plan these things. So you're probably looking. The group in game might take 10 to 15 minutes before everyone's out in the court, and Bookworm has spoken to them, and they're now ready to go on with their adventure. Now, the book also says it then takes them 5-ish minutes, 10 minutes to get to the barn door. So by this time, in game time, they could have already lost 20 minutes and only have 40 minutes in game of this before the tower blasts off. So something to consider there if you're going to fudge the numbers of the tower and such. 40 minutes in game, fights only go for a minute or two, so they've got plenty of time to do all the fights in this adventure, explore a few rooms, and then get up before that 40 minutes is over anyway. So realistically, I think they're good. I do want to talk about fleshing out the cult, the barn door, the cultists. The livestock cult, because I do believe that you can get a little bit more out of them. Speaking of which, I have crafted some STLs where I've made 2 different versions of the symbol, and hopefully I've got them up there now. I'll hopefully be able to put them up shortly on my Dungeon Master Guild account, where I sell STL files for all sorts of adventures and things going on, and they'll be the ones for this adventure. So anyway, why would people in a fantasy realm join a cult? And for me, it's usually for a couple of reasons. Either they don't have a role or a part to play in a society group, or they've been rejected from that society group, and the cult will take them in and potentially even give them a position that they wouldn't normally be able to achieve out in the wider society. But what do I mean by that? So let's say one guy dreams of being the head guard, but he's a clumsy or klutz or whatever, and honestly the cult kind of manages and looks after themselves pretty rigorously, so the cop doesn't actually have to be that efficient. You might attract this member to your cult by letting them become the chief of police or the chief of the guard, and they honestly don't have to do the work that someone else on the out there in the larger society might actually have to do. So they might be able to find a place. The other one is they could be given a job with all this authority and such like that, because they're in charge of lantern lighting, and they pick when the lantern lights come on at night and when they go out, and that they are in charge of that. That is your job, to keep this thing running. So the cult will empower people and draw them in by doing this. So what jobs could Stonky have promised some of these group members? So it could be some jobs that they need, and then some superfluous jobs. So we could be thinking like quartermaster, cook, astral navigator. They're just going to fly around. They're not planning on coming back. The light controller, cleaner, librarian, skitterwidget maintainer, policeman, fireman, just in case there's a fire. That's your job. Run us through a fire drill. Tower maintainer. There could be any number of jobs out there that these cultists take. And then it'd be giving them a quality which makes them interesting to engage with, such as being an airhead and can't hold a conversation or a concentration for long, someone who follows instructions rigorously to the letter, a dreamer, someone who thinks they're going to achieve a disproportionate amount to what they can actually achieve, someone who an angry person, someone who's harboring a lot of hatred towards the avowed because they weren't allowed to become an avowed, but Stonky's taken them in, so maybe they're there just out of dislike of another organization. A drug addict, perhaps, or someone who's just along for the ride and doesn't matter too much. An authoritarian, someone who's very, it must be such a way, and they just happen to work in the cult quite nicely. So let's talk about a few of the rooms, now that we've outlined the rough sort of the theme and feel of this adventure. And I take it that you've already read it, so we're just going to go over a couple of things. So in B1, I've had a group miss the secret door, and this led to a very quick adventure. It was only the tower half of the adventure, so I had to speed it up and bring Stonky up early because they didn't know one way or the other if Stonky, what was happening, so I could trigger that event whenever I felt like it. But to improve upon that, to make sure they know there's a passage, but maybe not where the key is. They're going to have to go find how it opens. The janitorial stuff will be coming out of the from underneath, and that's when the group open the door. So 2 of them will come running in to fight the group, and another one will spend that first round closing the secret door before they then come in to fight. What the group will then do is have these janitorial staff come running in, these custodials people, and running in, swinging mops around like they're ninja warriors, and tying 2 spray bottles together and using them like nunchucks, and come running in. The group might think, this is a bit of a silly ninja fight, when actually they punch the first guy and he dies. Because they've got so low hit points. They just kill the first guy. It's like, oh, that's right. We're 9th level characters. We can just do it. This isn't a fight for us. The challenge then goes to go down the secret passage or go up the stairs, and they can go either direction they please. But they at least know the secret passage is there rather than just run straight past. So I thought that was a more appropriate way of making sure people get that's there. Now, for B2, the main room, have all the cultists not giving any information away unless they're magically compelled. Might be difficult for some group that didn't prep magically compelling spells, and so this whole thing could be a bit of a bust. But there's a saving grace here that I offer to you, is that potentially upon hearing that Burr on Sternmantle is dead, one of them or 2 of them might get cold feet and all of a sudden decide they don't want to be blasted in a tower that could explode and things like that. Maybe they start screaming, help, get me out of here, I want to get out. Another option I did was I played the half-elf, Horse Egg, as someone who started to blab because they're a bit of an airhead and they got easily tricked into giving away what the group are up to. And I thought how I countered that to make it more interesting was I had the... so while they're giving away secrets, another one of the cultists is trying to yell to them, and they're like, stop saying things, you idiot, you're telling them what's going on. And I used the half-orc Donkey Biscuit for that. So you had the half-elf on one side, constantly blabbing and giving away secrets. And then you played Donkey Biscuit on the other side, getting angry with him, telling him to shut up and stop telling him things. And because they're tied to their seats, they can't stop each other. So it becomes a repartee of yelling back and forth across the table. You as the DM playing 2 characters who are at odds with each other. And I thought that came off quite fun for me as a DM. In B3, if playing in person, handwrite out Stonky's task list and hand it over. Same for the navigational notes in Stonky's spellbook. In B4, when I played the flesh golems, I thought their AC was a little bit low when you started calling them lightning golems. Lightning moves fast. So that could be changed anywhere up to an AC of 15, I thought, without throwing it too much. Just depends how much of a combat-orientated group and how much they like combat your group is. But either way, the PCs are able to reset the tower here, and so it doesn't take off. So that was okay, understandable. They can save the mission here. And at which point, if they get to this point and don't go down and have no interest in going down, didn't realize there was a secret passageway, it might be a point now to have Stonky that now enter once they've defeated the lightning golem. So keep that up your sleeve. If the group happen to go down to U1, None of my parties, anyone wanted to stand under those red hot jets in the roof that had previously thrusted to cook off. The fight was in a donut around around that. In which case, the group were able to fight from the stairway and keep the skitterwidgets back. But the problem was their stunning lightning tracks would regularly take someone out of the fight every round. So take that into consideration if you're not a combat-orientated group. These skitterwidgets could drop the group, particularly if you're real tactical and the group are not. One of my groups had an artificer who wanted to remove the tail and use it himself to whip people and do lightning damage and stun people. And I thought, fair's fair. I gave him a DC 15 check to remove the tail. If he gave it to anyone who had proficiency with flails or whips, could use the tail as a flail or a whip. But I only let them have the lightning damage and the stun once. Kind of because that's all the battery capacitor in the tail could hold, and that's all they could get out of it is that one shocking strike per tail. So they ended up getting 4, one group did, so they had a good time with that, and it became a special item they were saving for using these whips on certain people. But time-wise, this might be one of your longest fights, that skitterwidget one, because of the narrowed area, the people getting stunned and striked and going down, so not everyone's getting a turn every round. Like, it was quite a long-running fight that you won. In U3, the Silverfish Illusion, make it seem as real as possible. Roll for initiative, let the attacks be launched, and know your character's investigation skill modifier, and you make the roll behind the table. Don't tell them what's going on, or otherwise they'll just walk through the thing straight away if they're just going to ignore it. But if you play it up and let them shoot arrows and let them go and hit the thing, and then finally realize these strikes aren't making contact, then give it to let them make the check and then see if you roll it and you'll tell them if they finally figure it out. For U6, you can drop the skitterwidgets out of this fight if you're running short on time. I was, and just took the skitterwidgets out and just had the cultists, because I knew the group would just flail their way through those blokes. And they happened to do so with a fireball. Took out nearly all the cult fanatics, and then Stonky heard that fireball, obviously, and then came out swinging from the doorway, spelled up and blasting, getting cover and trying to fire from the doorway. And I think 1 or 2 cultists had survived just long enough to be taken out next round. So that was a pretty good fight. Now let's talk rests. Short or long rest. If the group decide they want to try and take one of those, not knowing that there is a timer on this mission, Stonky is likely to see the countdown timer, as it states, at T-5. And so he will run through the place, just straight down the corridor, straight up the steps, up to the top, strap himself in and get ready for blast off. So if the group are resting anywhere along that path, they'll see him and his cultists following, running past and then heading on up. If they're resting somewhere else, like in U4, U5, with the doors closed, sealed away, they might miss that. And then when the blast off happens, I mean, you can choose if you want to cook all your characters, but I could have said, look, yeah, they're back there, they're resting, the doors are closed. You survive the rocket blasting off, only to get out there and just see that the little cigarette lighter point taking off into the sky as they get out there and watch it, and they're like, whoops, guess we didn't do the mission. If they do blast off and head off into space, the adventure talks about getting back with a teleportation scroll to send the group home. But let's talk endings with this one. What happens if your group feels that they want the tower to blast off? This sounds really fun. To hell with stopping this. We're going to get involved. Yeah, let your group do that. If it's a one-shot, go for it. If it isn't a one-shot and you need them to get back, you could run a Spelljammer adventure out in space, meeting up with people and then getting themselves back down to the material plane or back down to whatever planet you're playing on. And that would be really fun too. If you just add a little bit of extra story into what happens up there and then getting down out of space and such. Failing that, if it does blast off as a one-shot and such, and your characters all leave, or be it PCs or NPCs, if you run a Spelljammer campaign ever again after this, you need that tower to come past in space, and the group to be like, that was the rocket from the game we played so many months ago. How cool. Are our PCs on there still? Or are the NPCs there? Let's go over there and see if they've eaten each other or what's happened. And the group might go over there, find them, and maybe that the tower has turned to two teams that are fighting each other, or who knows what you could do. It could be a lot of fun. I highly recommend. This is great adventure. It's a bit silly, so some serious groups might have a bit of a problem with it, but I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I think you should give it a crack and have a great time with it. Fun adventure, one, maximum 2 sessions, and could totally kick off your next Spelljammer campaign. Thanks very much for hanging around this long. I hope you enjoyed my view of Candlekeep Dekonstruction. I do a lot of these Dungeon Master reviews on my channel. I also have been making a lot of STLs, 3D printing files, and they're all on the DM's Guild, on Thingiverse, on a couple of different spots, so you can hunt me down in through my links and find those. And I would love to see you back here again. So hit like and subscribe, leave a comment down below, and I'll catch you next time here. See you later.